I tested positive for HIV. At the company annual meeting, my test report and an intimate photo were displayed on the big screen, pointed at by thousands. I was utterly humiliated throughout Jiangcheng, becoming a social pariah that everyone feared to mention. My husband didn't divorce me or blame me, but simply accepted and cared for me. I was deeply moved and felt even more guilty and uneasy. The dual torment of mental anguish and illness drove me to madness. And I was eventually sent to a psychiatric hospital. In the psychiatric hospital, I jumped from the 10th floor. Everyone thought I had jumped to my death due to emotional distress, but no one knew the truth. My husband and my best friend, fearing their secret would be exposed, pushed me off the building. But I was reborn the day before going to the beauty salon with my best friend and contracting AIDS. Eve Shia, it's settled for tomorrow. I'll pick you up at your office at 3 p.m. The voice of my best friend, Ruby Fang, came through the phone. Alright, I agreed and hung up the call. Glancing at the clock on the wall, it was already 9 p.m., and Knox Cheng still hadn't returned. Knox Cheng and I had a marriage of convenience. Not exactly deep affection, but we treated each other with respect. Well matched in social status, both sets of parents were satisfied, and we found each other acceptable. I thought that was the best kind of marriage. Little did I know. Reality would slap me hard in the face. After getting engaged, I found out that Knox Cheng's family had only assigned him a nearly bankrupt company. While the Shun Group was also facing a financial crisis, the Shun family had stockpiled a batch of silver mines, but the price of silver plummeted, resulting in a loss of several hundred million if they were to sell. For this batch of silver mines, the Shun family had staked 3/4 of their assets. Unable to sell the silver mines and with their funds tied up, they set their sights on my family. My father and Knox Cheng's father have been business partners for many years, as well as old classmates and close friends. Knowing about the silver mine incident, he still didn't ask me to break off the engagement. After all, in business, investment failures are quite common. It doesn't necessarily mean someone has ulterior motives. He even lent the Shun family 100 million to help them maintain normal operations and keep their cash flow stable. I didn't see any issue with this either, as it was purely a business matter. After the engagement, I used the dowry my parents had prepared for me to invest in Knox Cheng's company, Shiyang Jewelry, becoming its largest shareholder. After marriage, Knox Cheng was very attentive and caring toward me. He would cook delicious meals for me, deliver snacks to my office, and his words were always filled with affection and admiration. Everyone at Xian Company knew that Knox Cheng cherished his wife above all else, obeying my every word, making him the model husband candidate for a time. I was also very satisfied with Knox Cheng. He wasn't particularly good at business, but he never interfered with company matters, always deferring to me, content to play the supportive role. Thanks to my efforts, within 5 years, Xian Company not only turned losses into profits but also quickly dominated the jewelry market in Jiangcheng, becoming a rising star in the industry. That's probably why, in my past life, I trusted him so completely. Without a shred of suspicion, I looked at my phone, flipped through it, and found a name in the contacts. In my past life, I was able to learn the truth all because of Cal Gu. I became the laughingstock of the entire city and was eventually sent to a mental hospital. Even I myself thought it was my own fault, that I had gotten drunk and had an intimate encounter with a male model, which led to me contracting AIDS. Knox Cheng was able to understand and accept me, filling me with gratitude and trust. Only Cal Gu noticed that something was wrong and secretly investigated, eventually finding his way to the mental hospital to tell me the truth. In this life, I was reborn, and when I wanted to find someone to help, the first person I thought of was still him. Of course, I also wanted to say thank you to him. I made the call. Although it was already very late, Cal Gu still came out to meet me right away. I'm looking for someone named Ning, 19 years old, a college student. I got straight to the point. This was what Cal Gu had found out in my previous life. But in this lifetime, he remains completely unaware of everything. The reason he contracted AIDS in his previous life was because of this female college student. Ruby Fang accidentally encountered Ning, learned she had AIDS, and then conceived malicious intentions. This female college student came from a poor family. Her father was a gambler, and her mother was bedridden with illness. To pay for her mother's treatment, she resorted to selling her body and ended up contracting AIDS. Ruby Fang found her and gave her a large sum of money, arranging the drama at Tomorrow Beauty Salon. Okay, I'll do it as soon as possible. Cal Gu didn't even ask why I wanted to find a college student and agreed directly. Thinking back to my previous life, I couldn't accept that I had contracted AIDS and was too ashamed to face anyone. Cal Gu came to see me, but I didn't meet him. The next time I saw him was in the mental hospital, when I was so broken by the torment inside that I only wished to end my miserable life. Yet he revealed that cruel truth, saying if I wanted revenge, he could help me. Why didn't you even ask me why I was looking for a stranger? I chuckled lightly. Cal Gu's lips curled slightly as he spoke with utmost sincerity. I'm truly glad you reached out to me. We've known each other for 10 years. Your matters are my matters. No need to ask further. My voice choked with emotion. This belated gratitude was what I owed him. Thank you, Cal Gu, but I need to see a Ning tomorrow morning. Right now, you're the only one who can help me. With Cal Gu's help, I feel completely at ease. Cal Gu's abilities are beyond doubt. Finding a college student, even with just a name, should still be relatively easy. After all, there are only 3 universities in Jiangcheng. That night, Knox Cheng indeed did not return home. In the past, I would have called to ask about the situation. But today I went straight to sleep, though not peacefully. I dreamed of my past life in the psychiatric hospital, where I had to take endless medications and undergo electrotherapy. Everyone thought I was insane. But in truth, I wasn't insane. I just couldn't control my emotions anymore. After the incident, though I was emotionally drained and mentally exhausted, I would never have lashed out at or hit my parents. The truth Cal Gu told me was that while I was recuperating at home, the medication Knox Cheng gave me contained substances that could cause mental instability. He wanted my parents to believe I had truly developed mental illness, making it easier to persuade them to agree to send me to a psychiatric hospital, thereby getting rid of me without tarnishing his good reputation. After waking from the dream, I was seething with hatred. Suppressing the urge to beat Knox Cheng to death, I called him and said I was going to visit my parents' house. He didn't suspect anything, as it was common for me to visit my parents on a whim. Back at my own home, Dad had gone to the company, and Mom was practicing Bedouinjin in the garden. Why are you back, sweetie? Mom was surprised to see me, and I immediately went up and hugged her. In the 5 years since getting married, I've been absorbed in my work. Although I often came home, each visit was rushed, and I rarely hugged Mom like this anymore. In my previous life, after the accident, my parents' hair turned white overnight, and my mother nearly cried herself blind. In this life, I won't let that happen again. I just hope my parents stay healthy. Mom, it's nothing. I'm just being lazy and wanted to see you. I took my mother's hand and sat her down, then stayed to have tea with her. Mom noticed my pale complexion and asked nervously, "Did you not sleep well, or did you have a fight with Knox Cheng?" I didn't tell her the truth, just smiled and said, "Not at all, no fight. I just missed you and came back to see you." Mom smiled and nodded. "That's true. In the 5 years since you got married, Knox Cheng has been completely devoted to you. We've all seen it. But it's been 5 years now. It's time for you to have a child. See, in my parents' eyes, Knox Cheng has been nothing short of perfect to me. He's fooled everyone, including my parents. Mom, we're in no hurry." I forced an unnatural, fake smile, hastening. "What I want now is for Knox Cheng and Ruby Fang to taste the suffering I endured in my past life." After chatting with my mom for a while, Cal Gu's WeChat message finally arrived. It's an address, and he had already arranged to meet Anning. After saying goodbye to my mother, I resolutely went to find her. I met Anning. Seeing this girl and remembering how her blood had infected me in my past life, my eyes turned red with fury. Clenching my fists tightly, I gritted my teeth and endured it. In the end, no matter what this girl's intentions were, if Ruby Fang hadn't found her, I wouldn't have been infected. My enemies are only Ruby Fang and Knox Cheng. How much did Ruby Fang pay you? I'll double it. You'd better be smart about this. The fact that I found you means I have solid evidence. What you're doing is illegal. and I can easily send you to the police station." I didn't give her any chance to argue, cutting off all her retreat with a single sentence. "You're still a student with a long road ahead, even if you don't go to the police station. I imagine you wouldn't want others to know about your illness." I spoke with deep sincerity. Anning was shocked at first, then lowered her head, and finally raised it again. "I had no choice, I needed the money. What do you want me to do?" She wisely chose to cooperate with me. I had already planned my approach, originally intending to use the same method Ruby Fang employed in her previous life, substituting identities at the beauty salon and using the small knife that had drawn Anning's blood on Ruby Fang instead. If that were the case, I could have simply gone to the beauty salon to find the beautician, since Anning had already been arranged by Ruby Fang anyway. But as far as I know, that beauty salon was run by one of Ruby Fang's cousins. I don't think I can easily bribe that beautician. It might not only fail but also alert the enemy. Moreover, Ruby Fang, who planned all this, must be very vigilant. How could she not notice if she was slightly cut by a blade? Unlike my previous life, where I was asleep and didn't notice such a tiny scratch at all, you must have that kind of group, and you definitely know other patients. I want you to help me find a handsome man. Of course, you'll still go to the beauty salon this afternoon, but you know what to do. There's no denying that Ning is a smart person. She immediately guessed that me asking her to continue going to the beauty salon was just a pretense. She raised her price up front. "This is 2 separate tasks. I want 200,000, and I guarantee I'll get it done for you." Her speaking up put me even more at ease. The fact that they raised the price shows they're genuinely interested in collaborating. After reaching an agreement, I added her on WeChat. At 3 p.m., Ruby Fang came to the company to pick me up as promised and took me to the beauty salon. "Eve Shia, I've booked a deluxe package for both of us. Facial treatments plus full body SPA. Let's just relax and enjoy ourselves today." Ruby Fang was beaming with energy, clearly in high spirits. I forced a smile. Sitting in the passenger seat looking exhausted and silent. "Look at you. Didn't sleep well last night, did you?" Ruby Fang asked a question, glancing at me with a hint of curiosity. I rubbed my temples. "Ruby, Knox Cheng didn't come home all night last night. Do you think something's up? I'm a little worried." I said this deliberately. Ruby Fang momentarily showed a flicker of panic before quickly reassuring. "How could that be? Everyone knows Knox Cheng treasures you dearly. You can doubt anyone but him." "Didn't you ask him?" I sighed and said. "I did. He said he met an old classmate yesterday to discuss business, drank too much, and ended up sleeping at the hotel." Ruby Fang immediately breathed a sigh of relief, her eyes still carrying a hint of smugness as she comforted. "There you go. Men, after all, must prioritize their careers. As women, we should understand." After chatting with her for a while, we arrived at the beauty salon. This salon was the most luxurious in Jiangcheng. Typically frequented only by high society women, I didn't expect to run into Cal Jiu here. He was clearly accompanying his mother. After Mrs. Jiu was led inside by the beautician, he sat on the sofa in the lobby sipping tea, seemingly with no intention of leaving. When he saw me, he raised an eyebrow, glanced at Ruby Fang beside me, and didn't greet me, acting like a complete stranger. "Wow, that man is so handsome." Was that his mother who just went in? Handsome and filial, what a catch. Ruby Fang was immediately drawn to him at first sight. "Let's go, we should hurry inside too." I grabbed Ruby Fang and quickly entered the house. Ruby Fang and I have only known each other for 5 years. In the past, I considered Ruby Fang my best friend. I met Ruby Fang 5 years ago at a cocktail party. She was a waitress at the party and accidentally spilled wine on a man. The man didn't give her a hard time about it but instead took the opportunity to grope her, on the spot. She grabbed a wine bottle and smashed it over the man's head. I found her bold and somewhat street smart. Seeing the man about to retaliate against her, I stepped in to help and talked him out of seeking revenge. Ruby Fang was grateful to me. Even though she was kicked out, she still waited for me at the entrance of the party, wanting to treat me to a meal. Later, I found out she hadn't landed a good job after graduation, so I hired her into the company. At first, she refused. Back then, the company was just starting out, and it took a lot of persuasion on my part to get her to join. over the years of our friendship, I've come to know that Ruby Fang has a bit of a thing for good looks. Her biggest hobby is binge-watching dramas and idolizing heartthrobs, and her greatest dream is to marry a handsome man. Although I now know that Ruby Fang is Knox Cheng's mistress, and they were in a relationship before, Ruby Fang deliberately approached me back then. But some habits can't be fake. Cal Gu is handsome and wealthy, so it's no surprise Ruby Fang had that reaction just now, getting involved with Knox Cheng while still lusting after another man. Trashy men and women really do deserve each other. I wish I could slap myself in the face. In my past life, how could I have thought Ruby Fang was being genuine? Clearly, someone like her is fickle and promiscuous, but this actually gives me an opportunity. If Ruby Fang had truly been unwavering toward Knox Cheng, it would have been harder to manipulate the situation. The two of us were already lying on the bed, and the beautician was exactly the same as in my past life, only this time, Ning wouldn't be giving the beautician that razor blade stained with her own blood. But Ruby Fang spotted Ning's arrival in the adjacent private room, clearly. She was thrilled, seemingly convinced everything was going smoothly. Naturally, I couldn't place complete trust in Ning either. After all, it concerned my own well-being. So I arranged for another friend to secretly keep an eye on her. If Ning were to suddenly back out, my friend would come over and call me away. But everything went smoothly. Ning didn't betray me. Though I still got slightly cut, Ruby Fang noticed the wound on my eyebrow but didn't mention it. Instead, cheerfully pulling me along. The next day, I found Ning, paid half the fee, and urged her to quickly find the right person. As expected, in just a few days, Knox Cheng would take me to a bar. In my previous life, he took me to a bar, and I ended up getting so drunk that I woke up in bed with a male model. I thought I had lost my innocence, which is why I couldn't defend myself when diagnosed with AIDS. My parents also believed it was my fault. And seeing Knox Cheng take such good care of me, they trusted and were grateful to him. I only blamed myself, never suspecting Knox Cheng. Even after contracting AIDS, I felt guilty for his care. In this lifetime, this event will still occur, but it won't happen to me. Just as I was about to head home, a car stopped at the door, and Cal Gu stepped out from inside. "I want to talk to you." Cal Gu's eyes were filled with tension and worry as he opened the car door, gesturing for me to get in. I didn't refuse, and Knox Cheng called again to say he'd be home late. As expected, he must have been celebrating with Ruby Fang. We arrived by a riverside. The night was slightly chilly, and there weren't many people strolling along the bank. Cal Gu looked around to ensure no one was nearby before speaking. "That Anning has AIDS. She went to the beauty salon today too." "Eveshia, what are you doing? Don't you realize how dangerous this is?" Seeing the worry in his eyes, I didn't want to hide the truth from him deep down. She was brought in by Knox Cheng and Ruby Fang. Ruby Fang, oh right, my best friend, the one you saw today. My husband and my best friend got together and even wanted to kill me to take over my assets. I kept it brief and didn't explain how I found out. Cal Gu is a smart man. Otherwise, in my past life, he wouldn't have sensed something was off about my situation and investigated on his own. In the previous life, he had already discovered that Ruby Fang and Knox Cheng were in a relationship during their university days. Although they later broke up, Ruby Fang remained Knox Cheng's mistress all along. A year after graduating from college, Ruby Fang sought out Knox Cheng again, learned that he was the third son of the Shen family, and the two reconciled. At that time, Knox Cheng and I were already engaged. Ruby Fang deliberately approached me and became my close confidant. During my time in the psychiatric hospital, I would have moments of clarity followed by bouts of madness. In my lucid moments, I recalled some small details and began to suspect something, so I had to pretend my madness was worsening. Once, the two of them came to visit together and even flaunted their affection right in front of me, who was already losing my mind. I seized the moment to hit them but was dragged back by the doctor and given a sedative. At the time, I wasn't truly unconscious. I heard Ruby Fang say to my seemingly sleeping self, "Knox Cheng was always mine. You were just the other woman. If it weren't for your money, how could I have tolerated you monopolizing him for 5 years? Now, your company is mine, Knox Cheng is mine, and you can stay here forever, if you know what's good for you. You'd be better off killing yourself. It'd save you from living in misery. At this thought, my eyes filled with hatred. Letting them suffer the same fate as my past life in this lifetime is already too lenient for them. I will send them to hell. Eve Shia, are you okay? Kaljiu noticed my dazed expression and waved a hand in front of my eyes, snapping me out of my thoughts. I snapped back to reality, seeing the concern in his eyes, and couldn't help but smile gratefully, remembering how he had tirelessly worked for my sake in my past life. I'm fine. Kaljiu still seemed uneasy and asked. That day I went to keep an eye on Ning, but she didn't make any moves. This is too risky. What are you planning to do now? Do you need my help? He truly is a smart person. Upon hearing me speak the truth, he immediately realized I was seeking revenge. Cal, thank you, but I can manage on my own. If I really need help, I'll definitely reach out to you. I sincerely expressed my gratitude. In my previous life, had it not been for him uncovering the truth and coming to the mental hospital to tell me, even if I were reborn, I wouldn't be this clear-headed. He has already helped me a lot. Then be careful, and don't push yourself too hard. Nothing is more important than your own health. Don't take such risks again in the future. Kaljiu still seemed uneasy. After all, if Anning had turned against me today, it would have been disastrous. I repeatedly assured him that I wouldn't take such risks again, and only then did Kaljiu feel at ease. Just a few days later, Nox Cheng took me to a bar. You've been too exhausted lately. Consider this a chance to unwind today. Under the pretense of helping me relax, Nox Cheng brought me along to a friend's birthday party. Unsurprisingly, Ruby Fang was there too. Ruby Fang was also very happy to see me and even complained that I was always busy with work, leaving no time to go shopping with her. She enthusiastically invited me to go for a beauty treatment together next time. As usual, I was intimate and at ease with her, but I rarely drank. Seeing a bunch of grown men making a ruckus and drinking merrily, Ruby Fang pulled me up. You men are too noisy. Keep drinking. Eve Shia and I are going out to dance. Nox Cheng waved his hand grandly. Go ahead, have fun. And so, I was led by Ruby Fang to the dance floor outside. The men and women here were dancing wildly, and the music was deafening. Eve Shia, look at those male models. They're really handsome. Eve Shia always deliberately points out the male models to me. I glance over and see them dancing attentively with some women. It was the same in my past life, but I wasn't interested then. Seeing my lack of interest, Ruby Fang eventually led me to the bar and gave me a spiked drink. This time around, however, I'm watching with great interest. He is quite handsome. But look at that man over there. He looks like a celebrity. I pointed to a man not far away, the one I had asked Anning to find. True to her word, even among a group of male models, this man stood out effortlessly. Sure enough, Ruby Fang's gaze was drawn to him. Dressed in designer brands, the man wasn't one of the models here, yet his rugged charm was undeniable. This is Ruby Fang's type, wealthy and handsome, yet not a male model here. He could easily catch her eye. Ruby Fang's gaze was somewhat infatuated, but she clearly hadn't forgotten her own task. After watching for a while, she composed herself and took me to the bar. Eve Shia, that man looks to be in his 30s, successful in his career. I wonder if he's married. She peeked while handing me a glass of wine, trying to divert my attention. I also glanced in that direction, but out of the corner of my eye, I noticed her flicking her fingernail against the rim of the glass. If he's already married and still comes to the bar this late instead of staying with his wife, he probably isn't a good man. And if he's not married, Eve Shia, your chance has come. I took the glass, turned her around with me, leaned back against the bar, and shifted my gaze directly to the handsome guy. The handsome guy was dancing passionately, and Ruby Fang was completely mesmerized. While turning around, I had already taken the opportunity to switch the wine glasses, so as soon as I turned back, I immediately took a sip. Ruby, after drinking this glass of wine, be bold and just go ask directly. If you meet someone you like, you must seize the opportunity. I'll give you a heads up. Ruby Fang nodded, turned to grab the cup on the table, took a couple of sips, and didn't forget to clink glasses with me. I drank too. The effects wouldn't kick in that quickly. So Ruby Fang boldly went up to flirt with the handsome guy. I sat at the bar, watching her chat with him. Before long, They were even hugging and dancing together. They seemed to be having a pleasant conversation. Seeing her glance over, I pretended to feel dizzy and slumped onto the bar counter. Noticing this, Ruby Fang started to walk over, but after just 2 steps, she also felt a heavy dizziness. Having drunk a lot today, she simply assumed it was the alcohol taking effect. At that moment, the handsome guy came over and hugged her directly. The handsome guy glanced at me and left, carrying the completely unconscious Ruby Fang. I raised my head, tipped the bartender, and left the bar. Knox Cheng came out and couldn't find me. Thinking everything had gone as planned, he looked around but didn't see Ruby Fang. Just as he was about to make a phone call, I immediately stepped in front of him. "Honey, are you guys done? Let's head back too." Knox Cheng froze mid-motion, put away his phone, and glanced around before asking, "Where's Ruby Fang? Weren't you together?" I sighed and said, "Don't even mention it. She said she'd keep me company drinking, but ended up getting drunk herself. I already had someone send her home." Knox Cheng's eyes showed a mix of suspicion and anger. It seemed he was mentally cursing Ruby Fang for being more of a hindrance than a help. As I held on to him, he subtly tried to resist. After all, in his eyes, I was now someone who had contracted AIDS. He naturally keeps his distance. However, I don't have to worry about him suddenly wanting to get close to me at night. On the day we returned from the beauty salon, Knox Cheng used the excuse of his snoring potentially waking me up to sleep in separate rooms. I didn't expose his aloofness and continued to act affectionately, pulling him out of the bar as if we were still in love. Ruby Fang had a wild night with that handsome guy, but this night would mark the beginning of her nightmare. The next day, I called Ruby Fang at a calculated time. "Ruby, did you have fun with the hottie last night? Knox Cheng even asked about you." But I didn't dare interrupt your good time, so I just said you had too much to drink and left early. I took the initiative, and Ruby Fang naturally went along with it. "Hey, Eve Shia, thank you. I really did drink too much. But are you okay? Did you go back with Knox Cheng yesterday?" Ruby Fang's voice sounded nervous, with a hint of regret and self-reproach. "I also drank a bit too much. Feeling dizzy. Luckily, my husband came out and took me home. I should really drink less in the future. My head is still spinning now. Anyway, I won't keep you from your good time. I'm just glad you're okay. I'm going to sleep a bit more." After hanging up the phone, a slow smile curled at the corners of my lips. I hired private investigators to keep an eye on Ruby Fang and Knox Cheng. Sure enough, the two met that very day, and Knox Cheng gave Ruby Fang a harsh scolding, saying she couldn't distinguish the importance of things. However, both of them agreed that I had already contracted HIV. Even without photos of me with the male model, it would be hard to explain, and it wouldn't hinder their major plans. Next, they just needed to coax me into getting tested and obtain my medical report. To this end, Knox Cheng provided benefits to the company's employees by arranging comprehensive health checkups for everyone at the end of the year. As company leaders, he and I naturally took this opportunity to get checked as well. Of course, I didn't refuse and calmly underwent the checkup alongside the employees. By then, over a month had passed since the incident at the bar. The medical reports were, of course, confidential. After receiving mine, I deliberately stayed in the office the entire day. Knox Cheng saw this and came over to comfort me. "Eve Shia, what's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? Let me see." He tried to take my report to look, but I stopped him. "No, honey, if I were sick, would you still love me?" I held his hand, as if pleading. Seeing me in this state, a glint of triumph flashed in his eyes, but it was quickly replaced with tenderness as he clasped my hand in return. "How could I ever reject you? No matter what illness you have, it's my fault for not taking better care of you." His face was full of deep affection, as if his devotion to me would last until death. The day I received the report in my past life, he said the same thing. Even after seeing the report, moved by his words, I handed the company over to him directly and went home to recuperate. "Honey, you're so kind. I might need to go home and rest for a while. It'll be tough on you during this time." I didn't let him see the report, and the more I avoided it, the more convinced he became that I had AIDS. "I'll keep your report with mine for safekeeping." His report was also delivered to me, still unopened. Clearly, he didn't care about his own report either. showing no intention to open and read it. Instead, he asked with concern, "Eve Shea, don't scare me. Whatever illness you have, we'll treat it step by step." I felt a wave of sadness but pretended to stay composed, deliberately taking a step back to keep my distance from him. "Husband," my voice choked up. But I still managed to suppress my grief and say, "It's nothing, I'm just a little tired." Knox Cheng ignored my aloofness, probably overjoyed in his heart. Seeing me like this, he must be certain that I saw the HIV-positive report and that's why I'm acting this way. "Then you go back and rest well. I'll take care of the company." Knox Cheng reached out his hand and eventually stroked my hair, his expression gentle, as if he truly were a loving and devoted husband, showing consideration for his sick wife. From that day on, I stopped going to the company, staying at home all day sighing in despair, and I also refused any physical contact from Knox Cheng. I had placed my medical report in a locked drawer, but 2 days before the annual meeting, I discovered that the report had been stolen. Everything is the same as in the previous life, except this time they have no photos. While I have many, the report was, of course, fake. But by the time of the annual meeting, it would become real. Knox Cheng probably didn't even notice that his health had been deteriorating recently, with red sores appearing on his arms. Ruby Fang didn't attend the medical checkup because I sent her on a business trip that day, so she had no idea she was already infected. Moreover, she hadn't noticed anything at all. After all, it hadn't been long, and she was completely engrossed in her passionate affair with the handsome guy. Although I was sick and recuperating at home as the boss, I still had to attend the company's year-end party. Today was the main event, and I dressed to impress. The company's annual party was grand, attended not just by our company but also by my parents and the Shen family. I saw Ruby Fang today, dressed even more glamorously than usual. Though she seemed a bit off color, I pretended not to notice. Unexpectedly, Cal Jiu showed up uninvited. I figured he probably didn't trust me to handle things alone, so I reluctantly had someone usher him in. After the host's opening remarks, the annual meeting commenced, with the first agenda item being a review of the company's progress this year. The large screen displayed the company's major achievements this year along with some images, and everyone was watching attentively. I also stared intently at the big screen. The video wasn't long, and after 5 minutes, the tone suddenly changed. Several photos appeared on the screen. They were photos of Knox Cheng and Ruby Fang completely naked, scrolling one after another, comparable to a Japanese adult film. The crowd erupted in an uproar, and I was utterly shocked, staring at the large screen in disbelief. Knox Cheng and Ruby Fang widened their eyes in astonishment, with Knox Cheng exclaiming in alarm, "What are you doing? What the hell are you all doing? Stop it now," but no one listened to him. After the photos scrolled through several pages, suddenly a massive medical report appeared on the screen and froze in place. It was none other than Knox Cheng's name, and the content below involuntarily made everyone keep their distance from him. AIDS, oh my god, Knox Cheng, the third son of the prestigious Shun Group and general manager of Xian Jewelry, actually has AIDS. The guests, including the employees, began to whisper among themselves. Knox Cheng and Ruby Fang were suddenly left alone in all directions. Even the space around me was empty. "Honey, what's going on here? You two, one is my best friend, the other is my husband. How could you be together like this?" I was on the verge of fainting. "You've got AIDS." I became frightened, tears streaming down with each sob. "No, it's not like that. I'm not sick. You're the one who's sick. How could it be me? Didn't you go home to recuperate because you were ill?" "What illness do I have?" Knox Cheng shouted at me, his eyes filled with disbelief. I just have a uterine fibroid. I don't have AIDS. I left the company to take traditional Chinese medicine for treatment." I told the truth, and my mother immediately rushed over, standing in front of me. "Knox Cheng, you're the one who's been reckless, fooling around with women outside and catching a disease. Yet you dare to falsely accuse my daughter. What are you scheming?" "My daughter has always been chaste and virtuous. Since her medical checkup, she's been sleeping separately from you to recover. How could she possibly have that filthy disease?" My mother was so furious that she directly pulled out my medical report. Although the report had been stolen, that one was fake. The one in my mother's hands was the real one. Knox Cheng shook his head, looking at the information displayed. Everyone else also saw it clearly and turned their gazes toward Knox Cheng. Ruby Fang remained silent the whole time. She was terrified, clearly feeling guilty. Look, there are rashes on Mr. Shen's neck. Oh my God, this must be AIDS, someone shouted, startling Knox Cheng, who immediately covered his neck in panic. Everyone immediately stepped back again, afraid of getting contaminated by something dirty. My mother also pulled me back, keeping me far away from that Knox Cheng. Heartbroken, I turned to look at Ruby Fang. Ruby Fang, I trusted you the most. I was the one who brought you into the company and made you the financial director. How could you betray me by getting involved with my husband? How could you do this? You're carrying on like this with him. He has AIDS, so you must have it too, right? How could you do this to me? As I spoke, I couldn't hold back my tears. Contracting AIDS and being betrayed by both my best friend and my husband. Either one of these is a heart-wrenching pain that anyone can empathize with. Sure enough. The crowd began to condemn them, one remark after another. There must be some misunderstanding. Knox Cheng isn't that kind of person. My father-in-law stepped in to mediate. Misunderstanding. Are the photos fake? Is the medical report fake? Shun Daqiang. I treated you like a brother when I lent you 100 million to help you through tough times. Is this how your Shen family repays my daughter? My father immediately stepped forward and punched my father-in-law. Sweetheart, don't be afraid, we'll divorce him and make him leave with nothing. And the Shen family, that 100 million debt must be repaid immediately. My father was furious. He never expected that the husband he had so carefully chosen for me would turn out to be such a disgrace. Everyone was familiar with the Shen family's silver mines, and upon hearing my father's words, they all began to criticize. How unethical of the Shen family, after being helped by others. Instead of cherishing their daughter, they actually humiliated her like this. Yeah, Knox Cheng really has no standards. That woman isn't half as good-looking as President Xia. Who knows, maybe there's more than just Ruby Fang. How else would he have gotten AIDS? This must be from sleeping around too much. Oh my God. Thank goodness it wasn't passed to President Xia. What would she have done otherwise? President Xia is lucky. She happened to have a minor health issue during her checkup and ended up sleeping separately from him. Otherwise, who knows how unlucky she could have been. It's bad enough that this man was cheating outside, but he almost dragged his wife into it too. What a scoundrel. The crowd buzzed with gossip, but in my past life, all of it had been directed at me. I stared at Knox Cheng and Ruby Fang, not wanting to miss a single expression on their faces. Their reactions were far more entertaining than mine had been in my previous life. Knox Cheng slapped Ruby Fang across the face. It was you, wasn't it? He knew very well whether he had been promiscuous. Aside from his wife, there had only been Ruby Fang. It must have been Ruby Fang who infected him. You hit me. It was clearly you. What does it have to do with me? I could say you're the one who infected me. Ruby Fang naturally wouldn't admit it, although she hadn't undergone a medical checkup. She had been dating that man frequently during this period. Knox Cheng contracting AIDS made her vaguely suspect that she might have been the one who transmitted it to him. The two accused each other and instantly started brawling, shocking everyone present. At that moment, the large screen suddenly began scrolling again. I was surprised, and everyone else was equally puzzled, all turning to look. This wasn't my arrangement. On the screen was a university campus. Still featuring Ruby Fang and Knox Cheng. Their faces were still youthful, but it was clear they were deeply in love. It turns out they were former lovers, and after Knox Cheng got married, their old flame reignited. Then, at the very cocktail party where I first met Ruby Fang, she was already sneaking around and getting cozy with Knox Cheng on the same day. I was just a wall away from them. So Ruby Fang deliberately got close to CEO Xia. How shameless. Being the other woman and still trying to become best friends with the wife. That's just heart-wrenching. Knox Cheng is even worse. They must have planned it together, flirting with another woman right in front of his wife and then making her the wife's best friend. Even TV dramas wouldn't dare script something like this. Why would they do it? What else? For the money, of course. Our Xiyang jewelry was invested in by CEO Xia before marriage. She's the largest shareholder. The crowd saw through everything clearly, looking at the two with eyes full of contempt, truly the target of public scorn. I saw my parents were already furious. My father even disregarded Knox Cheng's aides and went straight up to punch him. "You bastard, you absolute bastard, I'll kill you." I quickly stepped forward and grabbed him. If Knox Cheng gets beaten until he bleeds, that's carrying the virus. Even the Shen family members were frustrated at their own helplessness, none daring to speak up. Only my mother-in-law was loudly cursing at that Ruby Fang. "You shameless vixen, we should have sent you abroad back then. How dare you come back to seduce Knox Cheng?" Her outburst only served to further confirm their previous illicit affair, and that the Shen family had known about it all along. The Shen family was aware Knox Cheng had someone else in his heart, yet they still forced him to marry me. Their intentions couldn't be clearer, unable to lay a hand on Knox Cheng. My father stormed over to Knox Cheng's father and gave him a thorough beating. The big screen continued to show even more unspeakable scenes. It turned out to be photos and videos of Ruby Fang and that handsome guy with AIDS, so graphic that people couldn't bear to look. Knox Cheng went berserk and lunged at Ruby Fang. "You slut, you filthy slut, it was you actually cheated on me with another man behind my back, you shameless, promiscuous whore, you ruined me." He seemed unsatisfied and kept beating Ruby Fang until her nose bled. No one dared to stop them. As the two of them were nothing but trouble now, the scene was chaotic for a while. I looked at Cal Gu, who was watching the commotion from behind, and nodded at him in gratitude. No need to guess, it must be him. In the previous life, it was also him who uncovered these things. I didn't expect that in this life. He still went to investigate. Everyone. Today's unexpected situation is regrettable. I need to handle some family matters now, so let's disperse for the time being. I had no choice but to step forward to take charge, and everyone cast sympathetic glances my way. However, before they could leave, the police arrived and headed straight for Knox Cheng and Ruby Fang. "We've received a report accusing you of embezzlement, bribery, and illegally purchasing large quantities of raw materials at inflated prices. The amount involved is substantial, and the evidence is conclusive. You'll have to come with us." With that, the officers immediately produced handcuffs. The corners of my mouth curled up as I watched the police handcuff them. I sued them in court in my capacity as a shareholder of the company. During my leave for recovery at home, Knox Cheng made the decision to purchase the silver mine from the Shun Group without the board's approval and at 3 times the market price. As the financial officer, Ruby Fang approved the payment without following the company's regulations and approval procedures. Knox Cheng abused his power for personal gain, involving a substantial amount, which constitutes a crime and is even suspected of transferring marital assets. As for Ruby Fang, she violated the accounting law and the company law, and even accepted huge kickbacks from Knox Cheng, constituting embezzlement. In my previous life, they did the same thing. But I was the one who contracted AIDS. Moved by Knox Cheng's so-called devotion, and later sent to a mental hospital, the entire company fell into Knox Cheng's hands, leaving him free to act recklessly. I never expected that he would transfer the money to the Shun Group so early. This time I've caught them red-handed, and I certainly won't let them off. Off to prison they go. They already have AIDS, and the torment in prison will be far worse than in a mental hospital. The Shun Group is finished too. My father will sue to recover the loans, and the money she and company used to buy the silver mine will also be reclaimed. The Shun family will plummet from the clouds into hell, left penniless and even buried in debt, without anyone to look after them. Life in prison won't be easy for Knox Cheng and Ruby Fang. Even if they're released after a few years, they're now infamous in Jiangcheng and have contracted AIDS. Their lives outside will only be more miserable. Eve Xia, I was wrong. Eve Xia, it was all Ruby Fang, that wretched woman. She seduced me. Please spare me. I don't want to go to prison. Why did I get AIDS? Why, I'm finished. Knox Cheng approached me, babbling and begging for mercy. Cal Gu pulled me away, stepping back a few paces. When Knox Cheng saw him, his laughter grew even more deranged. I did nothing wrong. We were meant to be together. It's you. How could you so easily win him over? You stole him from me. I did nothing wrong. Ruby Fang was also unhinged, but she clearly didn't believe she had done anything wrong. Why is it that you were born with everything, while I work so hard and still can't find someone who truly cares for me? Why, she's gone mad too. You're not wrong. So is her mother the one at fault? Since you love each other, just stay locked together forever. Why must you harm others? Cal Jiu retorted, and when Ruby Fang saw Cal Gu's face, she seemed to recall the incident at the beauty salon. Haha. So that's how it is, it's you knew all along, didn't you? No wonder you didn't catch that illness. No, it's you who made me catch it, isn't it? She finally understood, laughing hysterically at me, her eyes filled with hatred. I remembered in the previous life at the mental hospital, when they thought I was asleep, they were affectionate in front of me and called me a foolish clown. At that time, I hated them just as much. I don't understand what you're saying. If you have mental issues, I can request the judge to send you directly to a psychiatric hospital. Wouldn't that be better? I whispered softly, and her pupils suddenly dilated. She would never figure out why I knew all about her and Knox Cheng's plans. Their plan was precisely to brainwash me into being mentally ill and then have me committed to a psychiatric hospital. The word psychiatric hospital seemed to startle her. Her eyes filled with fear. And she didn't say another word. Everyone had been taken away. Looking at the empty hall, I finally burst into tears. Mom and Dad came over and hugged me. I wiped away my tears and grasped their hands. Mom, Dad, let's go home. Tomorrow I'll file for divorce from him, and from now on, I'll live with you, daughter. I'm sorry, it's all my fault. I misjudged people and harmed you. Dad couldn't help but slap himself. I quickly stopped him, and the three of us hugged each other tightly. Cal Jiu stood nearby, watching us in silence. My gaze met his, and seeing the heartache and guilt in his eyes, I sniffled, my face full of gratitude. Cal Jiu, thank you. Whether in my past life or this one,